It is, when I say characteristics, meaning that I'm just going to single out a few things that are unique to this style and not to repeat and mention the things that a normal person who is doing Taiji of whichever style, because there are commonalities of all Taiji styles, because all Taiji styles and variations are based on the same principle or principles, same classics. We all share the same body of knowledge. But when it comes down to this particular branch or style of Taiji we do, called the Chen style Taiji Chuan, practical method, there are some unique features. One of them is that Grandmaster Hong stresses this concept that the body has to be like a wheel. That there has to be a center. Your body has to work. At the very beginning, you call it rotate like a wheel, on a car, on a vehicle, on a bicycle. Then later on, at an advanced level, when you are totally free, your body, centered mostly on your dantian area, must work like a gyroscope. A gyroscope is a wheel with no restriction. The core is universal. The wheel is locked onto this one axis, and it can only turn this way. A gyroscope is that it turns in many, many different directions. It's universal in 360 degrees. Every corner, every angle, it has the ability to turn. But this is very, very advanced, because when you are talking about this, we're talking about total restriction in the sense of a rotation on the axis, but then absolutely no restriction, because that axis can move in any direction it wants to. And this is almost impossible, but Hong managed to be able to do that in his lifetime. And I personally, as a disciple of his, am devoting my time to try to achieve this point. It's very, very difficult, because we are humans, we are animals, we have this structure. So what I just described as a gyroscope is something that can only be possible if you're suspended in the air, like Earth in space. So it can turn any direction, any way it wants to, because there are no restrictions. But we, as humans on Earth, erectiles, bipedals, and we have 2 feet, and then the body is supported by the 2 feet, then you do not have 360-degree freedom. And this is the task. It's very, very difficult. So that's number one, how difficult it is. Number two is that when you are doing this, there is a difference between rotating like a gyroscope and rotating as if you're wobbling. And the difference is the requirement and the standard is very clear. It's black and white. But when you're doing it, when you are wrong, it's very difficult to tell, especially from a superficially appearance type of observation. You can't tell the difference. Hong managed to get very, very clear and precise on this point. This is the first one. You have to, I call it rotation. The second characteristic of the practical method system is that it utilizes a skill called to come in, or you can say withdraw, is to repel, is to attack. And this is a very useful thing in terms of martial art. In martial art, you always, in other styles of martial art too, you want to reduce the time it takes for you to defend yourself and attack your opponent, so that you always want to use the same move. And the move is let's say when you have to back off, it's called to retreat. But then you can retreat and then issue another attack. So the practical method, through the utilization of the positive and negative circles, when you retreat, your energy already went out. Your opponent is already bounced out. And again, this is a feature that's very, very difficult to learn and to accomplish, to be able to reproduce. Hong succeeded again in his life to do that, and that's one of the characteristics, one of the techniques we must learn in the practical method system. Specifically, some things that are very different, also characteristics in the practical method from others, is that Hong said that when we are making circles, we are making moves, we first of all have to look and find where our opponents are. Once we know that, that's your general direction of your hand, your orientation of your body, and where your eyes are. And once you lock onto that, your body can rotate and go backward. Your eyes must be focused on that target. And it sounds very normal, like why not? But if you observe that in other styles, this is not entirely true. One of the common things in doing Taiji that people follow is that your eyes follow your hand. So you move like this all the time. And we include this, but we are not exclusive eye-hand type of Taiji, meaning when your target is over here and your eyes are on it, your hand is also here, and then in this particular instance, time in space here, your eyes are on the hand, because beyond your hand is also your opponent, so you're looking this way. But when you're making moves, your hands your eyes are still on your opponent, your hands can do all sorts of things. And so this is a characteristic of the Chen style Taiji Chuan practical method system. Another one that is very, very important, but sounds very simple, is that Hong utilizes a technique called revolution and rotation combined. Revolution basically means to orbit, the Earth orbiting around the Sun. So put it plainly, revolution means movement, covering space. Rotation is that you rotate on a core, it does not move. So why do we do this? It's because this is something desirable, but it's contradictory. It doesn't work like that. So if you are moving, because revolution is considered wobbly, you are moving space. And when you're doing that, you're not rotating. You can't rotate physically. And when you're rotating, you cannot move. So this is a general thing in Taiji that we cannot accomplish. So by combining revolution and rotation, you actually have resolved that contradiction. So for us, you see if you touch me here. So when I rotate it, it has no effect on it because it's not moving. If I move it, it does not rotate. So if I rotate and move at the same time, energy goes right through you. And once you have that ability, that the result is that your ability, let's say the power you produce or the speed you produce, becomes magnified, and you have power that's bigger than your action, and that causes or produces the element of surprise. People will be surprised at what you can do. In reality, your actions are very normal because you get to this level through your normal training that requires every movement you do in the Yilu form that you must combine the movement, which is a revolution, with rotation, which is a self-turn, without wobbling, without
another characteristic
that you all have experienced of the practical method system is the utilization of the 45 degrees. So whenever you are engaging your opponent or when you are doing the form yourself, you have to have a supposed assumed target or your opponent, and then your movements must be 45 degrees to it. Now let me just explain to you. The three-dimensional 45 degree means there are two planes. One is this way here, so if your opponent, let's say, is here, and this is straight, so I approach this way, 45 degrees. But at the same time, if, let's say I'm saying here, so if you give me a finger as a point of reference here, so I have to look at your finger from a point of view of a vertical line. My movement has to be 45 degrees vertically on here. So there's a 45 degree here, and from a plane point of view here, it has to be 45 degrees here. And so that's why when you have this positive circle, this resting position here, this is 45 degrees. But there are two 45 degrees here. So from here to here, vertically is 45 degrees. Otherwise, this is horizontal or flat, and this is totally vertical. So can you see from here to here, it's 45 degrees. Also from the horizontal plane here, this is flat, straight, and this is the other straight. But now it's 45 degrees. So just by placing your hand right here, you got the two 45 degrees. Every move in the practical method must be 45 degrees in the two dimensions, the horizontal dimension and the vertical dimension. That's the 45 degree rule. It is stressed, it's a characteristic because it's very difficult to do, not plainly, simply like most people think. Like every person who has some form of education, even like very very basic education, you understand what 45 degree means. And do not assume that understanding is what we're doing here. Because knowing that when you draw on a piece of paper what 45 degree is, does not equate to you having this ability in Taiji Chuan to touch your opponent at 45 degrees. And by gradually learning what that 45 degree is in the three-dimensional movement in Taiji Chuan, and applying that to your body and in relation to your opponent all the time, your body possesses this simple skill that is viewed by your opponent as a very mysterious ability. Because when you always touch at 45 degrees, that nullifies everything your opponent does. And it produces results that are very surprising, that are opposite of their expectations. So that you will appear to be very strong, you appear also to be very elusive, and you are strong on your opponent, but your opponent can't find a way to reattach back to you or to attack you or to resolve whatever you are doing. This is why 45 degree is very important.